The morning sun cuts through the mist above Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, painting ancient stone in gold. Dr. Elias Kareem moves across the plateau, boots crunching on gravel, his gaze fixed on 3 colossal limestone blocks that defy imagination. He murmurs, "Each weighs nearly 900 tons, that's 1.7 million pounds of defiance." Beside him, Dr. Sara Voss studies her tablet, eyes narrowing as numbers cascade down the screen. "These cuts," she says, "are surgical. No Roman chisel made lines like this." The air vibrates faintly beneath their feet, a hidden resonance pulsing through the ground. Elias looks toward the ruined temple of Jupiter, rising against the dawn. "If this were Roman," he says quietly, "its foundations wouldn't predate the empire itself." Dust swirls between the stones as the wind rises, carrying a sound almost like breath. Somewhere below, unseen sensors flash, recording magnetic anomalies that twist logic itself. The stones remain unmoved, silent witnesses to something far older than history. The afternoon heat presses against the valley like a living thing. Sweat streaks down Sarah's face as she recalculates the figures on her screen. "This block weighs more than 400 elephants stacked together," she mutters, shaking her head. Elias shades his eyes, studying the sun's arc across the stone. "They balance these with perfect precision," he says, as if they knew the mathematics of weight long before Archimedes was born. Their local guide smiles quietly. "My grandfather said the stones used to sing when they moved." Elias turns sharply. "Maybe the sound was part of the process," he whispers. The air stills. Even the insects fall silent. The team feels it, the impossible weight of purpose, as if the valley itself remembers being built. At the southern quarry, a giant sleeps beneath the dust. Sara kneels and brushes away the earth, revealing a perfect curve of stone. "This one never moved," she whispers. Elias circles it slowly, awe in every step. Hajar al-Hibla, the stone of the pregnant woman. 1,000 tons at least. Sunlight reflects across its surface like liquid metal. "There are no cracks, no faults," Sara says. "They didn't stop because they failed. They stopped because something happened." The wind sighs through the quarry like breath over a tomb. The stone gleams half-born, half-entombed, a message left by hands long vanished. Months later, excavation digs deeper into the same quarry. Sara brushes aside compacted soil, uncovering another immense block hidden beneath centuries. Her voice catches. "This one's larger, 1,500 tons. Elias laughs under his breath, disbelief and wonder mixing. 3 times the weight of Stonehenge's heaviest stone, he says. The monolith's edges are smooth, its corners precise, ready to move, yet untouched. "What made them stop again?" Sara asks. Elias scans the valley's horizon. "Maybe they didn't stop," he says softly. "Maybe we just forgot where they went." The dig site hums with silent revelation. Each discovery feels less like history and more like a memory resurfacing. Night falls over Baalbek, heavy with static from an approaching storm. Lanterns flicker in the camp. The ruins glow faintly in lightning's pulse. Inside a canvas tent, Sara studies magnetometer readings. The waves rise and fall like heartbeats. Elias stands outside, eyes fixed on the temple silhouette framed by stormlight. "The Romans built over something they couldn't explain," he says to the wind. Thunder rolls across the valley, echoing against stone. Sara steps beside him, her voice low. "It's like they remember." Another flash, the stones shimmer, not from rain, but from something deeper, something alive. For a breathless moment, the past speaks and the night listens. Morning mist lingers over the ruins as Elias unrolls. An ancient Roman map found beneath the excavation tent. Faded ink reveals a pattern beneath the Temple of Jupiter chambers, tunnels and markings that don't belong to Roman design. Sara leans over the parchment. "These aren't structural notes," she says softly. "They're schematics." Elias traces the lines with his finger, and they're older than the temple itself. The discovery shakes them both. The drawings show geometric precision impossible for the first century. They suggest measurements, magnetic vectors, and something that looks disturbingly like a power system. The valley, once silent, feels alive again, like a sleeping machine beginning to wake. Hours later, seismic sensors start registering faint vibrations beneath the megaliths. Sara squints at the monitor. It's rhythmic, she says, too uniform to be natural. Elias kneels near the ground, palm pressed against the dust. It's coming from below. They follow the data to a small depression behind the temple, where the ground sounds hollow. As Elias digs, stone gives way to air void. They uncover a narrow shaft, sealed for millennia. "No record of this exists," Sara whispers. The air from below smells ancient, metallic. For the first time, fear replaces curiosity. Something beneath Baalbek was never meant to be found. Lanterns swing as Elias and Sara descend into the newly uncovered tunnel. The air grows colder, denser, carrying an electric tension. Their footsteps echo off walls carved with perfect right angles and polished surfaces. "These aren't chisel marks," Sara says, running her fingers over the wall. Elias lowers his light. The cuts are molecular, like the stone was melted and refrozen. Their voices tremble. The deeper they go, the more the light bends strangely along the walls, as if refracted by invisible fields. Then they find it a massive circular chamber, walls fused to glass-like smoothness. It looks less like architecture and more like engineering. The circular chamber hums faintly, a sound too deep to hear but strong enough to feel. Instruments flicker. Elias's compass spins wildly. "Magnetic interference," he mutters, setting the device down. Sara records readings on her tablet. "The field strength's increasing," she says, her voice steady, but eyes wide. As she speaks, the walls seem to vibrate in resonance with her tone, amplifying her voice into a low, harmonic pulse. "It's responding to sound," Elias whispers. He claps once the echo folds back on itself, forming a pure note that hangs in the air like light made audible. "This chamber," Sara breathes, "was designed to sing." Back at the surface, night cloaks the valley. Sara replays the acoustic recordings. The frequencies from the chamber match seismic vibrations recorded across Baalbek for decades. "It's all connected," she says. "It's all connected. The temple, the quarry, the chamber, they're one system." Elias stares toward the dark ruins. "A resonance grid," he murmurs. Lightning flashes in the distance, echoing through the stones like thunder in stereo. The ancient site seems to awaken again, vibrating faintly beneath their feet. Sara looks up, realization dawning. "They weren't just building a temple," she says slowly. "They were tuning the earth." The storm rolls closer, as if answering her. Wind sweeps over Baalbek at dawn, carrying the scent of dust and ozone. Sara studies new data, eyes reflecting the shifting frequencies displayed on her tablet. "Every structure here resonates at the same harmonic," she says quietly. Elias crouches near one of the megaliths, pressing a small vibration sensor to the stone. It's like the entire complex was tuned to a frequency the human ear can't hear. The readings pulse in perfect rhythm, a mathematical signature repeating across the site. Sara exhales. It's not random architecture, it's deliberate resonance. Elias glances toward the horizon, where morning light catches the temple's silhouette. They built music into the earth. He whispers, awe and fear mixing in his voice. Inside the camp tent, maps, charts, and digital overlays cover every surface. Sara layers satellite images over the temple's floor plan. The alignment matches Orion's belt, she says. Not Roman, not random astronomical. Elias studies the geometry on the screen, perfect symmetry linking temple, quarry, and valley. They knew celestial mechanics with precision beyond their era, he murmurs. Sara zooms in on a grid of intersecting lines. These angles 30, 60, 90 exactly mirror magnetic field vectors. She looks up, realization dawning. This isn't a temple to the gods, it's a map of energy. The revelation sends a chill through the room. Outside, thunder murmurs like a warning. An email arrives from the German Archaeological Institute marked confidential. Elias opens it, and the screen reveals blurred scans of sealed excavation reports dated 1938. These were hidden, he says, scrolling through diagrams of deep, subterranean structures. Sara leans in, whispering, "They found chambers before us. The reports mention magnetic anomalies, acoustic resonance, and something labeled Project Stein der Steine." The voice of the stones. Elias exhales slowly. They were studying this 80 years ago, and someone buried the evidence. The tent feels suddenly colder. Outside, the wind picks up, rattling the flaps like the valley itself wants to silence them. Returning to the chamber, Elias and Sara descend once more, carrying new scanning equipment. The sensors pulse as they sweep across the walls. This time, hidden inscriptions appear not written but embedded within the stone through magnetic alignment. Symbols shift under light, forming patterns of spirals and waveforms. It's not language, Sara says. It's data encoded in resonance. Elias's breath catches. Information stored in vibration. Like sound-based memory, the implications settle heavy in the dark. They aren't just exploring ruins. They're decoding a message left by minds that understood physics far beyond their time. The chamber hums louder, as if aware of their intrusion. Back on the surface, storm clouds swirl violently over Baalbek. Sensors spike with energy readings that shouldn't exist. Sara's voice shakes as she reports. The magnetic field is resonating with the storm. Elias stares at the megaliths vibrating subtly under rainfall. They're responding like tuning forks. Lightning strikes nearby, and the stones emit a low, harmonic pulse that shakes the ground. The sound isn't destructive, it's symphonic, ordered. They built this to harness energy, Sara says, almost shouting above the thunder. Not worship control. The valley trembles as ancient power hums once again. History has woken, and it's remembering itself through stone and storm. Morning breaks under a veil of fog. The excavation site stirs uneasily as a convoy of black vehicles approaches the camp. Elias steps out of the tent, shielding his eyes from the glare. Men in dark uniforms, badges marked with the German Archaeological Institute, emerge. Their leader, Director Heinrich Keller, shakes Elias' hand, but his smile doesn't reach his eyes. "You've gone deeper than your clearance allows," Keller says calmly. Sara folds her arms. "We're scientists, not criminals." Keller's voice sharpens. "Then act like scientists and stop digging where history ends." The tension cuts through the air like glass. Elias realizes they've crossed an invisible line from discovery to danger. Inside the tent, Keller unrolls a document stamped with international seals. "You will cease operations immediately," he says. The paper feels heavier than law. Sara reads it, authorization from multiple governments citing national archaeological security. Elias shakes his head. "You're hiding something." Keller's tone is ice. "We're preserving order." He gestures to the horizon. "You think you've found ancient builders? What you've touched could destabilize more than history." Silence thickens between them. Sara whispers, "So it's true. The technology is real." Keller doesn't answer. His silence confirms everything. Outside, thunder rolls as if the stones themselves protest the cover-up. Night falls heavy. Communications begin to fail. Static overtakes radio signals. GPS flickers dead. Sara slams her laptop shut. "I've cut the network." Elias paces. "They're isolating us." Beyond the tents, a strange vibration thrums through the air, rising in pitch until the lanterns quiver. Instruments flicker back to life, but not through any human signal. The same ancient frequency hums through every electronic device. Sara's voice trembles. It's the chamber. It's calling back. Elias steps outside, eyes wide. The megaliths shimmer faintly, alive with internal light. The lost technology doesn't care about orders or authority. It's waking up on its own. Driven by defiance, Elias and Sara return to the shaft beneath the temple, sneaking past guards under lightning's flash. The chamber hums louder than ever, its resonance shaking the ground. Sara steadies a portable scan. "It's building energy," she whispers. Elias gazes at the luminous walls, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. "It's reacting to us," he says. The air thickens. Their voices echo distorted, multiplied. Light bursts from the walls, patterns forming ancient symbols in motion. For a moment, Elias feels weightless, as if gravity itself bends to the pulse. Then, just as suddenly, the light dies. The silence that follows feels alive, listening. Back at the surface, Keller waits beside the convoy, rain streaming down his face. "You've seen too much," he says, voice steady but heavy. Elias stands defiant. "Truth isn't yours to own." Sara steps forward. "You can't bury what's already awake." Lightning cracks, illuminating the temple behind them, stones vibrating faintly, like living metal. The ground shakes. Keller stumbles back, eyes wide. "What did you do?" he shouts. Elias looks skyward. "We didn't start this. They did thousands of years ago." Thunder drowns his words as the valley roars alive again, the sound of ancient resonance tearing through time. The storm hasn't ended, it's grown alive. The ground shudders beneath Baalbek as a deep rumble rolls from the temple's heart. Elias grips a tent pole to steady himself while Sara stares at her scanners. Impossible readings. "It's pulsing again," she says, voice barely audible over the thunder. The frequency spikes into a pattern resembling a heartbeat. "It's synchronizing," Elias whispers. The rain intensifies, blurring the boundary between earth and sky. Each flash of lightning reveals megaliths vibrating in unison, their seams glowing faint blue. For the first time, Sara feels it not as science, but as presence and intelligence reawakening beneath their feet. The next tremor splits the earth with a crack like thunder. One of the megaliths shifts, groaning as ancient pressure releases. Dust erupts in blinding waves. Elias shouts, "Get back!" But the sound is swallowed by chaos. Sara grabs his arm, pulling him away as the ground collapses near the chamber entrance. Through the smoke, she glimpses something, a glowing sphere of energy suspended within the opening. "It's not collapsing," she gasps. "It's opening." The realization hits like lightning. Whatever was buried is no longer dormant. The valley itself seems to inhale, ready to exhale something the world has forgotten. Beneath the fractured ground, the circular chamber lights up in concentric pulses. Symbols rotate like clockwork gears across the walls, their glow synchronized with the storm above. Sara watches through a live feed, whispering, "It's communicating." Elias adjusts the frequency dial, aligning it to the chamber's resonance. Suddenly, the feed clears. A hum turns into structured sound, like voices overlapping in ancient tongues. They encoded language into vibration. Elias breathes. The meaning is unclear, but emotion radiates through every pulse. Grief, warning, remembrance. The chamber isn't just active. It's speaking to anyone who will listen. The resonance becomes unbearable. Every compass spins, every monitor screams with feedback. Keller's convoy races from the site, his men shouting orders drowned by the roar of collapsing stone. Elias and Sara refuse to leave. "If we stop it now, we lose everything," she cries. The sky ignites in white light as the temple trembles. Elias shouts above the noise, "It's not destruction, it's translation." The stones begin to fall inward, not down. folding into light. For one impossible second, the megaliths dissolve into pure sound, resonating through the valley like a symphony of origin. Then, silence deep and absolute. When the dust settles, Baalbek is unrecognizable. The temple's upper ruins lie shattered, but beneath them, a new geometry gleams, glowing patterns etched into exposed bedrock, radiating slow pulses of light. Sara kneels, tears cutting paths through dirt. "It's a map," she says. Elias studies the luminous lines forming an enormous spiral centered beneath the valley. "Coordinates," he murmurs, "but not for anything on Earth. The pattern aligns with constellations long forgotten by astronomy." Sara looks up, voice trembling. "They left us instructions." The realization hangs heavy. Humanity hadn't uncovered the past, it had answered a call from it. Morning rises over the wreckage. The storm is gone, replaced by a calm so complete it feels unnatural. Elias stands among fractured stones, staring at the glowing spiral beneath his feet. The valley hums faintly, like the earth breathing. Sara joins him, her face pale but resolute. "Everything's changed," she says softly. Elias nods, "And no one will believe us." The ruins glisten with dew and energy, the two indistinguishable. Every instrument is dead, no signal, no sound. Only the pulse of light beneath the ground. "We didn't find history," Sara whispers. "History found us." The air trembles with quiet acknowledgement, as if the stones agree. Hours later, Keller's convoy returns, but his face carries something different now. No arrogance, no defiance, just fear. He walks through the site's silence, the hum vibrating in his chest. "You were right," he says, voice hollow. "It's not Roman, it's not even human." Elias looks up sharply. "Then what is it?" Keller glances toward the horizon. "Something that remembers us better than we remember ourselves." His hands tremble as he hands over a sealed case. "The Institute ordered containment," he says, "but this can't be contained." Sara opens the case. Inside, a fragment of the glowing stone, still alive with pulse. In the quiet of the tent, the trio studies the fragment. It vibrates softly, emitting light waves that pulse in mathematical rhythm. Sara overlays the signal pattern on her screen. The waveform transforms into ancient star charts. "It's a memory," she murmurs, "encoded through sound." Elias traces a line on the display. "This frequency, it matches the magnetic field of the Earth." Keller leans closer, whispering, "You're saying the planet itself is part of the mechanism?" Sara nods. "Not just part of it, it's the host." The revelation chills them all. Humanity didn't build Baalbek. The Earth did, through hands that remembered how. Night falls once again, but the ruins glow brighter. The spiral beneath Baalbek radiates outward, lighting the valley in concentric waves. Elias steps forward, drawn toward the center as though called by instinct. "It's reacting to our presence," Sara says. "No," Elias replies, his voice calm, reverent. "It's recognizing us." The air thickens. The frequency hum becomes a melody, the same harmonic pulse they recorded before, now rising in perfect symmetry. The stones shimmer, forming a vast holographic field above the ground. Stars align overhead, connecting with the light below. For a moment, Earth and sky mirror each other, perfectly synchronized. The holographic field stabilizes, revealing symbols rotating in patterns of sound and light. Sara deciphers fragments, her voice trembling. "It's a message, not a warning, a remembrance." The symbols resolve into words across her display. "We are not the first, but we must not be the last." Elias's eyes fill with wonder. "They were guiding us," he says softly. Keller steps closer, speechless, the blue light reflecting in his eyes. The resonance fades, leaving only a faint hum, but something has changed. Humanity hasn't uncovered ruins of gods. It has rediscovered its origin, a reminder carved in stone and silence, waiting to be heard again. Dawn breaks over Baalbek, golden light spilling across the valley where chaos has become calm. The glowing patterns have faded, but the ground still breathes with faint warmth. Elias stands on the highest stone, surveying the ruins like a man who has just seen the universe blink. Sara collects the final readings, silent, her expression somewhere between grief and wonder. Keller walks toward them, hands clasped behind his back. "So," he says softly, "what happens now?" Elias glances at the temple's remains. "We rebuild not the structure, the understanding." The sun climbs higher, and for the first time in centuries, Baalbek looks alive again. Inside the camp tent, Keller sits alone, recording a statement for the Institute. His voice trembles with sincerity. "We discovered evidence of advanced engineering predating any known civilization. The official record will suppress this truth, but silence no longer protects humanity, it imprisons it." Outside, Elias listens quietly. Sara enters, setting the glowing fragment beside Keller's recorder. "Then tell the truth," she says softly. He looks up, eyes heavy with regret. "Truth," he murmurs, "has always been the most dangerous artifact." The recorder's red light flickers as he speaks, sealing the testimony that will rewrite history. The team prepares to leave Baalbek. The storm is gone, replaced by a clear sky painted with thin clouds. Trucks rumble down the dirt path, carrying equipment and sealed containers. Sara looks back at the site one last time. "It feels wrong to leave it," she says. Elias smiles faintly. "Maybe we're not leaving it. Maybe it's leaving us." Keller closes the rear gate of the last vehicle, watching the light fade from the ruins. "It's sleeping again," he says quietly. As they drive away, the camera lingers on the distant valley, where one faint pulse of light still beats, slow and eternal. Weeks later, a video leaks online. Keller's voice narrates over grainy footage of the glowing chamber and its harmonic resonance. "This is not mythology," he says. "It is inheritance." The footage spreads faster than any suppression order can stop it. Newsrooms debate, scientists scramble, and people around the world listen to the recorded hum, the song of Baalbek. Elias and Sara watch from a quiet cafe in Beirut. "It's begun," Sara says. Elias nods. "Once the truth is heard, it can't be unheard." Outside, church bells ring, echoing in perfect harmony with the same ancient tone from the ruins. Months later, Baalbek becomes a sanctuary. Scientists, pilgrims, and dreamers stand where Elias once uncovered the spiral. No one touches the stones. They only listen. The hum has softened to a heartbeat beneath the earth, steady and timeless. Elias walks through the valley at dusk, Sara beside him. "They didn't build monuments," she says quietly. "They built messages." He smiles, eyes reflecting starlight. "And we finally heard them." The camera rises above the sight lines of light, forming vast constellations mirrored in the sky. The last sound is the low, resonant chord of the earth. The voice of Baalbek, eternal and awake.